whole point of this first flow that we're going to be doing today, it's going to be absolutely no equipment. Now, a lot of the stuff that you'll see that we do that's sport specific, that's based in the gym, does generally incorporate an element of load. But one of the things that I always stress the importance of is once you've gained a full range of motion, we need to maintain it. And one of the simplest ways, without overcomplicating maintaining mobility, is to be incorporating a daily flow into your life, into your schedule. And I think sometimes the thought of mobilizing is so overwhelming, but in the grand scheme of things, how often do we spend 15-20 minutes on our phone in the morning sitting like this? Whereas like swapping that out for 15-20 minutes of just running through a simple flow like what we're going to be doing this morning can have so much benefit to not only starting to feel a little bit more pain-free when you are entering the gym, feeling freer, energy throughout the day is absolutely amazing. So again, my goal today will be to run you through a full body flow, something that you can start incorporating into your morning routines and build consistency with it. So just to start off with, what I'd like you to do is just sitting on our bums. We're going to put our legs out in front of us to begin with. And what I want you to do is have the knees together, feet nice and straight. And then from here, we're going to go into a slump position. So we're going to be dropping chin down to chest like so. And then from here, what I want you to do is just start off by paddling the feet back and forth. As you're moving back and forward, sometimes a little bit of a sharp pain running down from the back of the neck. What we're doing here is flossing the nerve. So this is a great one if you struggle with tight lower back, especially from spending a lot of time sitting. Tend to go for quite a high rep range on this exercise, towards 30 repetitions. From here, we're now going to go into our all fours position. What I'm doing now is I'm going to be placing one leg on top of the back of my other ankle, and I'm keeping that heel just up off the floor, okay? So we're going to race the position from here. From here, I'm dropping my heel down as close to the mat as possible, so I'm feeling the stretch now through the calf and in the front side of the ankle. And then we're rising all the way up onto the toe and then dropping that heel back down. I want you to move quite slowly through this. And as you drop that heel back down, just pull your toes towards your shins and then drive back up. The better range of motion we have through ankle dorsiflexion, the easier it is for you to be able to sit with your knees tracking over the toes in the bottom position. So from here, what I'm doing now is I'm just tucking my knees and my feet together. And then from here, we're just going to rock side to side, thinking about sticking the femur through your glute as you're rocking from side to side. So you'll feel this stretch through the quads, through the glutes. So generally when we're going through a kind of flow like what we're doing this morning, we'll start with lower body and then work our way up as we're going through. Doesn't hurt sometimes to repeat the whole flow again, because you'll find straight away second time through this exact same flow you will unlock a little bit more range of motion. So kind of like what you were saying, Javier, in the morning where you might be super stiff that first round through, repeating maybe a slightly shorter exercise selection will be more beneficial for you. And then from here, taking the other hand away from that side, we're going to turn into that leg. Good. And then come down and through the other arm. We're kind of hitting two parts here. We're hitting obviously the hips as we're doing world's greatest stretch, but working through a little bit of thoracic rotation as well. A range of motion that we don't tend to go into specifically when we're Olympic weightlifting, but that doesn't mean that we can't gain good range of motion through rotation as well. Again, when we're thinking about health in general, it's good to be mobile, not only through the specific ranges that are important for weightlifting, but for our general health too. Remember to drop that hip down nice and close to the mat. I've just dropped my hips down now and I'm just looking over my shoulder each time, keeping those arms as straight as possible. So we're just working through a little bit of thoracic extension now. Certainly an area where you'll feel quite restricted after a flight. Good. And just drop those hips back down. Now what I want you to do, guys, is just turn the inside of the feet down. We're going to turn our hands up towards the sky now, and I just want you to drop that chest down. And as we're in this position, hands pointing up towards the sky, I just want you to rock side to side, so you're feeling a little bit of the stretch now through the lats. Okay, so mid to upper back. Keep those palms facing up as best you can. Take your time moving from side to side. We're going to be moving on to one of my favorite movements now. We're going to do adductor rocks. Okay, so again, this is such a brilliant one specifically for Olympic weightlifting, because if you're tight through the adductors, it has a huge impact on that sitting position. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm again placing inside the foot down to mimic my squat position. My knee is down on one side, and then from here what I want you to do is bring one foot out to the side like so. And as we sit back into this position here, I'm going to let my foot rotate with me. So I'm dropping my hips down towards the ground and then walking the hands back and rotating. So I'm feeling this down through the hamstring, but also through the adductor on the inside edge of the thigh too. Okay, yeah, and then just walk those hands forward. So you're just working through a range of motion that's comfortable for you. And that's something that's really important to remember with mobility exercises, especially some of the more challenging, I'd say flagship mobility exercises that you'll sometimes see on social media. It doesn't need to look like that straight away. And a lot of the movement patterns that you'll work through, there'll always be a way in which you can scale a mobility exercise. But the goal is, as I mentioned to Javier here, it's to understand, okay, where's my baseline? This is how much range of motion I've kind of got in this exercise for now. And then my goal is over the period of the 30 days that I'm going to spend mobilizing to increase that. Okay, so on Instagram the other day of me sat against a barbell in this position, so barbell adductor stretch, my coach would make me spend a good 10 to 15 minutes every day when I'm training in this position. Again, with it having such an important impact on the ability for us to sit in a good deep position in the snatch. So again, as nice as this is to do with the barbell, sometimes you don't need it. Okay, I think that's what we're highlighting here. We can still get a great workout, sweating, feeling loose without any equipment, so there really is no excuse. So I've taken my feet out as wide as I can go, and I'm just focusing here on keeping my knees down on the floor with my toes pointed up towards the sky. And then what we're going to do over the period of the next minute is we're just going to slowly try and walk our hands out in front of the body. And we're going to take some nice deep breaths now, and every time you exhale on that deep breath, just try and reach those hands a little bit further away from you. Good, and then relax there. You can just walk those hands back in. Okay. What I want you to do now, guys, is you can just cross your legs, sitting in front of you now. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're just going to place our hands back behind our backs. Okay. Link your fingers if you can. And then what I want you to do is just really focus on your posture now when you're pulling the elbows back. Try and retract the shoulders as best you can. You're going to feel this in the front side of the shoulders. Okay, lift those hands as high up your back as you can go, Dougie. That's it. And then from there, we're going to pull the elbows together and then pull them back like so. Okay, so really focusing on that nice big chest. Feeling this probably on the front side edges of the shoulder. And then again, elbows go together and forward. And then open up. Brilliant. So the last thing we're going to do now is just do a little bit of work on the hands and the wrists. Okay, take a battering when we're doing weightlifting. So we're going to go into an all four position like so. Okay, and just to begin with, what I want you to do is rock your shoulders over the hands like so. Okay, and then shoulders back behind the hand line. So we're just working through. A lot of the time people experience a lot of pain through the wrists when they're doing Olympic weightlifting. And what I always say is, whilst wrist mobility or flexion extension at the wrist is important, the better your front rack position will be, the less load that you're actually experiencing being taken through the wrists. So it's equally as important to understand when you think about your own mobility limitations, what is the actual key thing that's preventing me from progressing in the movement pattern that I want to be good in. And this is why it's so crucial to run through a mobility assessment, because I can't tell you time and time again how often I see that the thing that people think's the problem versus what is actually the thing that's restricting them are very, very different. So we're now just going to turn to point the hands in towards the body, so it's going to get a little bit more challenging now. So we're trying to get those fingers pointing back towards the knees. And then from here, we're just going to lean away, again taking the shoulders over the fingertips. You're going to feel this stretch happening now a little bit more through the forearms. The goal here is obviously to get the shoulders as far back behind the finger line without the palms of the hands popping up. What we're going to do now is just keeping the fingertips down on the floor. We're going to raise the hands up, so just the palm up off the ground. So we're just putting the force through the fingertips. And then from there, just onto knuckles now. We're just going to be turning the knuckle down onto the mat like so. Again, getting comfortable with this range of motion that we're working through now, particularly on the wrists. Super important for when we're in a snatch position. And this is one of the assessments that we actually did when I was coached by a German weightlifter a few years ago. They came in and we were probably only all about 15, 16 years old, and one of the biggest assessments they did alongside our vertical jump was the range of motion that we had in the wrist working through this range. We're just going to go through happy cat, angry cat now, so we're just dropping that chest down to the floor and then driving that chest back up towards the sky. Feel the stretch through the mid to upper back, and then drop that chest back down into extension. There you go, we've finished our morning mobility flow. How's everyone feeling? Good? A little bit warmed up, a little bit looser? Great. Guys, any other questions from anything we kind of went over there from a mobility standpoint? All kind of makes sense in where this kind of sits within your day-to-day life?
What would you recommend, I guess, how many sets would you recommend doing?
Well, like there we did like one extended long flow, but you could run through normally 4 exercises and repeat them 2 or 3 times would be absolutely ample. The biggest thing is that I always say to people, right, is like if you're trying to take someone from super immobile to gaining mobility, going from doing nothing to doing 2 mobility flows a week that consist of 15 minutes is a great step in the right direction. Okay, so rather than trying to necessarily go from 0 to 100 really quick and it then not be something that's sustainable, I'm massive on this mobility being something that is part of your lifestyle moving forward. So little and often is the key with it. I think the biggest thing for me is I've been mobile from a very young age. I've weightlifted my whole life, and I've managed to maintain my mobility through the practice of Olympic weightlifting and the consistency of doing mobility, you know. So it's a different story, like I said, when you're a restricted body that wants to be mobile. The more time that you can be putting into it, the faster your progression is going to be, like anything that you do. But yeah, it's just, you've got to be patient with it, that's all.